We are learning tonight that the singer known as David is apparently the target of a grand jury investigation looking into the death of a teenage girl who you may remember was found dead in his car last year.
A 14-year-old girl, dismembered, stuffed into two separate bags and locked inside the front trunk of a Tesla sitting on a public Hollywood street for weeks. And right now, a private investigator says he knows exactly who put her there, and the police probably know too. They just aren't saying yet.
I didn't kill her physically, but in the back of my mind, she died.
Let's go back to where this all starts, because the beginning of this story is just as dark as where it sits today. Celeste Rivas Hernandez was born on September 7, 2010 in Lake Elsinore, California, a quiet suburb about 70 miles outside of Los Angeles. By all accounts from people who knew her around the neighborhood, she was a regular kid. Neighbors remembered her as a sweet girl with long curly hair, the kind of girl who stopped at the corner store for chips and soda after school. The owner of a nearby liquor store said she came in all the time with her friends, and he described her as not a wild child at all. But what was going on inside her home was a different story. Riverside County Sheriff's deputies had been called to her family's house 11 separate times between February 2024 and April 2025 for minor disturbances, criminal complaints, and situations listed in records as suspicious circumstances. A boy who used to date her in middle school told reporters she talked openly about wanting to run away, saying her home life was rough and that things between her and her mother were especially bad. That context matters a lot here because Celeste did run more than once. The first time she disappeared was February 14th, 2024, Valentine's Day, when she walked out at 2 in the morning and left a note behind. She came back that time, bothered by how much public attention the search brought. Then she was gone again on March 19th, and her sister had to go to a local liquor store to pull surveillance footage just to find where she had gone. Police came to the house 3 separate times that same day. And then on April 5th, 2024, Celeste left for the last time. She was barely 13 years old. It would take more than a year before anyone found her. Now this is where David Anthony Burke comes in, known to his fans as D4vd, a 20-year-old R&B singer from Houston who first blew up through TikTok and Fortnite montages before landing a deal with Interscope Records. His song Romantic Homicide went crazy on streaming in 2022, and from there, things moved fast. He started doing arena tours, picked up brand deals with Crocs and Hollister, and by mid-2025, he was headlining his own world tour called the Withered Tour, with everything looking like he was right on the edge of becoming something really big in music. The connection between D4vd and Celeste goes deeper than most people realized at first. Both of them had matching tattoos, the word "shh" inked on their right index finger. Photos came out of them together at a Los Angeles event back in October 2023. A leaked, unfinished SoundCloud demo called Celeste_demo had his voice on it, singing about a girl named Celeste and referencing her having his name tattooed on her chest. Her mother told investigators her daughter had a boyfriend named David, and friends of D4vd confirmed that the two were in a relationship, though those same friends said they believed she was 19 because Celeste reportedly carried multiple fake IDs that listed her as an adult. None of that came out publicly until September 8, 2025, the day after what would have been Celeste's 15th birthday, when workers at a Hollywood tow yard reported a smell coming from an impounded black Tesla with Texas plates. That car had been sitting on Bluebird Avenue in the Hollywood Hills since late July. It picked up a parking ticket on August 28th for being there past the 72-hour limit, and it was finally towed on September 3rd. For days after it arrived at the impound lot, workers noticed the smell getting worse. When LAPD finally opened the front trunk, what they found inside became the defining moment of this entire case. They found 2 black cadaver bags. The first one was covered in insects and had a severe decay smell. It contained a head and torso that had been decomposing for a long time. The second bag, found underneath the first, held severed arms and legs. The body had been in that trunk for weeks, possibly longer. Private investigator Steve Fisher, who would later become a major figure in this story, described what was done to her as sadistic. It took until September 16th to officially confirm who the remains belonged to. The medical examiner's office identified the body as Celeste Rivas Hernandez, partly through the sh tattoo on her right index finger, the same tattoo D4vd has on his. 3 days later, on September 18th, police executed a search warrant at D4vd's Hollywood Hills rental, a 4-bedroom property on Doheny Place that his manager Josh Marshall had leased for $20,000 a month. Investigators used luminol on the drains looking for blood evidence, seized computers and electronics, and took multiple bags of items out of the house. Within days of that search, D4vd and Marshall broke the lease and moved out. The homeowner told reporters they didn't want to be there anymore.
The official cause of death was listed as deferred, meaning pending toxicology and further analysis. Police were staying quiet. Someone else was not about to do the same thing. Shortly after the September 18th search warrant was executed at the Hollywood Hills rental, the property's landlord hired a private investigator named Steve Fisher, a missing persons specialist who goes by @SF_investigates on social media. What he uncovered would change how people understood the whole timeline of this case. Fisher zeroed in on surveillance footage from July 29, 2025, the day before D4vd and his crew left for the Withered tour. The footage, pulled from neighborhood cameras around Bluebird Avenue, showed D4vd's Tesla moving on that date, and more importantly, it showed the person driving it. According to Fisher, that driver can be identified. He said the person was wearing specific clothing that matched photos taken at the Hollywood Hills house roughly 12 hours before. The car itself was visibly dirty in the footage, and there was tape on the spoiler. The windshield wipers came on once, and one of the windows was slightly open even though the weather was mild. And there was no air freshener visible inside, even though one was later found in the vehicle. Fisher read all of those details as signs of someone trying to manage what was sitting in that trunk. He says he knows who was driving and has chosen not to say publicly. His reason for that is that he shared the footage directly with the LAPD Robbery Homicide Division and does not want to get in the way of their investigation. He has made clear he believes the police, having seen what he sent them, already know exactly who the driver is. The significance of that July 29th date is hard to overstate. If the Tesla was being driven by someone on that date, the day before D4vd's tour started, and if Celeste had already been dead since earlier in the spring of 2025, then whoever was behind that wheel was moving a car with her remains already inside. Fisher also publicly talked about other items found at the rental property that police did not take during their initial September 18th search. He described what he called sadistic tools found at the location, including a burn cage capable of reaching 1,600 degrees Fahrenheit, which had been delivered to the property under a fake name. Law enforcement reviewed those items but did not seize them during the first warrant. Fisher has been openly critical about that call. He called the investigation blown after 6 months passed without any charges, saying that real opportunities to collect evidence had been missed early on. In January 2026, Fisher posted a copy of the original Tesla search warrant on X, sharing documents he said were procedurally important to the public record. And in early February 2026, he noted publicly that the Tesla had been released from impound, possibly for additional forensic testing. While Fisher's investigation was ongoing, the official investigation was moving into its most serious and secretive phase. In November 2025, the LAPD formally started describing this publicly as a murder investigation instead of treating it as a death investigation. Captain Scott Williams told reporters that accountability was coming and that no one had been ruled out. That same month, the Los Angeles County Medical Examiner's Office sealed the autopsy under a security hold, keeping the official cause of death away from the public at the LAPD's request. And a Los Angeles County grand jury was brought together and began hearing evidence in secret. Grand jury proceedings in California are completely closed to the public, and witnesses testify without any defense attorneys in the room. Prosecutors control the process, and the jurors decide whether enough evidence exists to move toward an indictment. It is designed to be one-sided, which is exactly what prosecutors want when they're building a case they believe is strong but not yet ready to take into open court. D4vd's manager, Josh Marshall, the man who signed the lease on that Hollywood Hills rental, was called to testify before the grand jury and has been one of the more closely watched people throughout this investigation. He told TMZ that when the grand jury started asking him pointed questions about why he never called police after learning that a body might be in the car, and he also complained that prosecutor Beth Silverman was being pushy. He reportedly told them he had prioritized the tour. Record label executives were also subpoenaed and brought in for questioning. Then there is Asia Collins, described in various accounts as D4vd's girlfriend or close companion during the tour period. She posted a detailed statement on Reddit in late 2025 addressing the harassment and death threats she said she had been receiving. In that post, she said she had met Celeste once, briefly, for about 5 minutes. She said that after she later saw a missing poster for Celeste that did not show her age, she confronted D4vd directly about it. His response, according to Asia, was to pull out multiple identification documents belonging to Celeste to show her that Celeste was older than she looked. That detail right there is one of the most haunting things to come out of this whole case. The fact that he had those IDs on him suggests D4vd knew what Celeste's real age was, knew that fake IDs had been used to make her seem older, and was actively working to control how the people around him understood the situation. Asia said she believed him at the time. She said she is now working in silence towards justice. Surveillance footage also showed that Asia's car was left parked at D4vd's Hollywood Hills rental from all of July all the way through September 19, 2025, which was the day after police executed their search warrant. Another person connected to D4vd, a friend named Neo Langston, was arrested in Montana after failing to appear before the grand jury. He was brought back to Los Angeles and eventually testified. The fact that it took an arrest and extradition to get him there says a lot about how resistant D4vd's inner circle has been throughout this investigation. All of that, though, was just setting the stage for what came out in February 2026.
On February 25th and 26th of 2026, a series of court documents were unsealed through a legal process that was happening not in California, but in Texas. Here is how that happened. The Los Angeles County District Attorney's Office, with Deputy DA Beth Silverman leading the case, a prosecutor known for her work on the Grim Sleeper serial killer case, issued subpoenas to D4vd's family members. His parents, Daoud and Colleen Burke, and his younger brother Caleb were all ordered to appear before the grand jury. The reason? Prosecutors considered them material witnesses because of their close relationship with D4vd and because the Tesla had been registered under the family's Texas address. Because the family lives in Texas, prosecutors had to go through Texas courts to make those subpoenas stick, using something called the Uniform Act to secure the attendance of witnesses. The Burke family fought it. They filed legal challenges, arguing the subpoenas were too vague and violated their rights. A Texas district court turned those challenges down. On February 9, 2026, the Texas First Court of Appeals also denied their petitions and ordered the family to start testifying February 11th. The family appealed one more time, going all the way to the Texas Court of Criminal Appeals. On February 26th, that court issued a stay, temporarily putting the subpoenas on hold while the appeal is being reviewed. That fight is still ongoing. But the bigger thing that came out of those Texas filings was the information they contained. Because everything in California's grand jury is sealed, the Texas court documents became the only window into what was actually happening. And once those documents were unsealed, they confirmed something that had been circulating in pieces for months, but had never been officially acknowledged. D4vd is the named target of the grand jury investigation, and the specific charge being considered is 1 count of murder. Those same documents also laid out in very clinical and very heavy detail exactly what investigators found inside that Tesla. Detectives described opening the frunk and finding the first cadaver bag covered in insects, containing a severely decomposed head and torso. Underneath it, a second bag holding the severed arms and legs. The body had been there long enough that it took a full week to identify her. She had not been frozen or decapitated as some rumors online had claimed.
She had simply been left there long enough that what investigators found was severe decomposition. Being named a target in a grand jury proceeding carries real legal weight. It means prosecutors have already shown the grand jury enough evidence that they believe this person is the one they are building toward charging. It is not a conviction, and it is not even a formal charge yet, but in practice, prosecutors generally do not name someone as a target unless they plan to follow through with an indictment. D4vd's legal team brought in Blair Burke, one of the most well-known criminal defense attorneys in Los Angeles, who handles exactly these kinds of high-profile cases. The fact that he hired Burke months ago tells you his team has known for a while that this moment was coming. The official cause of death is still sealed and listed as undetermined, and that actually matters quite a bit. Without a confirmed cause of death, proving the exact details of how a murder happened becomes harder. Some legal experts have said publicly that if toxicology ends up showing an accidental drug overdose, the case could get narrowed down significantly, possibly shifting away from murder and toward charges like concealing a body or tampering with evidence. But prosecutors, in the framing they used in their court documents, seem to be pointing in a different direction. The dismemberment, the cadaver bags, the deliberate choice to leave her in a parked car on a public street, these are the actions of someone who panicked over an accident and made a bad decision in the moment. These point towards something planned and intentional.
There is also the question of who else was involved, because this does not look like a one-person situation. The LAPD said early in the investigation that they believe multiple people participated in the disposal of Celeste's body. Steve Fisher's identification of a driver on July 29th is one piece of that picture. The fact that prosecutors subpoenaed D4vd's manager, his friends, and his entire family suggests they are mapping out a network of people who knew things, did things, or stayed quiet when they should not have. What do you think about this case? Do you think D4vd knows more about Celeste's death than he is letting on? Let me know what you think in the comments section. Also, click on one of the cards on your screen to see more videos like this. See you in the next one.
So it's from the neighborhood. It's right down the street from the house that David was staying in, that his manager leased, and it's a video of the Tesla being moved on the July 29th, about midday, and it's the same day that they leave. A group of them leave on a tour bus to begin the tour, the first day of the tour on the tour bus going to San Francisco. So the Tesla at that point is actually already in as dirty state as it is in the pictures that we obtained right when it was towed. So it's it looked like it had been sitting again for a while, and it looks like they just made one last move with it before they set out for this part of the tour. Yeah, I know who was driving it on that last little move that it made to that parking spot there. But that's something that I'm not going to disclose yet. I think that would be stepping on LAPD's toes, which we don't want to do. We just want to make sure that some of these things are known and that that there's justice in this case, because that statement that LAPD came out with not too long ago was a little concerning. It made it seem like really culpability of concealment of a body might be the extent of the charges. I don't think that was the plan, because they left a lot of stuff behind the house. They did, after this all went down, they moved some of it out, but even then they left a ton behind. So I think it was just, maybe that psychological factor of just a little distance gets it a little, further away from, from the house. I think it was not a permanent solution, obviously, but I think that they did have a plan down the road. I think the towing really upended that plan. We found some things that had been delivered to the house that just don't belong there, don't belong in any type of environment like that. And they are things that you could use to get rid of a person if you wanted to. And they're really, people say, oh, it's got to be tools and stuff. It's beyond that. It's really sadistic stuff. Now, LAPD didn't take it, but they have told us that they photographed it. But again, that's not a crime.